Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
You're seeing our prayer team from the Pico Union Sanctuary. We're just wishing you a blessed day. We're wishing you a magical day. We're wishing you the start of a new year filled with love and joy and peace of mind.
Can't see a chat. Yeah. You know what? Could you bring my computer up here?
Here, delay. So, just to catch you up, you see in the center of your screen, Benny Ferdman is continuing to work on the sculpture piece that he started last night during the Kol Nidre service. Hi, Benny. You're making progress.
Hey. Yeah. How you doing?
We're good. We're good. So all throughout today's services, Benny will be continuing to. I'm hearing myself echo, so that's why I'm pausing. But we'll continue to see you create, and as we said yesterday, coax some art from that piece. So we look forward to seeing what you come up with.
Yeah, can we put Benny on screen for a few minutes and just see what he's doing?
Yeah, let's watch Benny work for a while.
They can't hear me this summer.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes, we hear you.
Before I continue, I just want to say that the clay that I'm working with is not ordinary clay. This is clay that I collected up in the hills above our house here and turned into clay. So it's not from the store. It's right from the ground.
That's great. Where in the hills were you?
Up on the valley side of Topanga here, up in the ridge, above Woodland Hills.
Do you have to look in a special place for clay, or is it just dirt that you turn into clay?
It's an area that I discovered a while back. Most earth has clay in it, but if you look at places where the topography slopes when it rains and it washes down into gullies, that's where it's richest in clay. And I take it and I refine it. And let's see where it's gonna go.
Yeah, we look forward to it. We'll be checking in with you throughout the service. Rabbi Bill Kaplan, I hate to put you on the spot, but you want to say anything to start us off today?
Just want to say Shana Tova to everybody. I'm so happy to be out here. I wish I were at Pico Union like I was last year. I wish we could all be together. But for me, I'm very happy to be in my beautiful rabbinate here in nature at the Shalom Institute in Malibu, and I'll share more in a little bit. I'm just very excited to be here and wish everybody a Shana Tova and a Gamar Hatima Tova.
I love it. Craig, good morning.
Good morning. I'm
Beautiful
here.
day. Glad to have you with us.
I forgot to put on my talit last night until after Kol Nidre.
Halfway through.
But that's,
Yeah,
I'm so traditional that I forgot that I forgot. But now I remember, and I say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit. There's actually a commandment that you should wrap yourself in the talit, and supposedly you're obliged also to wear it the entire day of Yom Kippur. So we have a great video we'd like to start our services with right now by Edmon Rodman. And
Never mind. It's okay.
let's just.
Even during a pandemic, the high holidays mark a season of remembering, a time when we recall those lost to us. And in this season of Zachor, of remembering, in the midst of a Even during a pandemic, the high holidays mark a season of remembering, a time when we recall those lost to us, and in this season of Zachor, of remembering, in the midst of a whirlwind of angst that sometimes leaves us forgetting even what day it is, we need to also remember that we are not alone, that we share our hardships with the Jewish Angelenos who died over 100 years ago in the Spanish influenza pandemic. In 1918, when the Spanish flu struck, the city's population was booming, rising from 319,000 in 1910 to 576,000 in 1920. About that time, the Jewish population of LA was estimated to be around 20,000. During the high holidays of 1918, the Spanish flu was striking California in its second wave. People turned to all sorts of remedies for a relief or a cure. Unlike today, in that outbreak, healthy young adults were considered more vulnerable than the elderly. While walking among the graves at Mount Zion Cemetery, a small Jewish cemetery in East LA, I could see the evidence written in stone. I noticed a large number of headstones of young men and women dated 1918 and 1919.
1918, 1919, obviously you're not seeing any images. And if you would have been born in 1918 or 1919 or lived during that period of time, you would not have seen any colored images for sure. You would not have had audio like that. And we're going to try to find where that visual that goes with the audio, because it's so wonderful. Edmon did a superb job of putting this history together. And we'll try to find it and show it to you later. But in the interim, I would like everybody just to do what I'm going to do right now and breathe. Just take a deep breath in through your nose and blow out away from your microphone. Do that 96 more times.
Val Kulam.
Okay. Here we go. Ma tovu. Wherever you are, your tents are beautiful, Israel. Ma tovu alecha Yaakov. Ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, vani berov chastecha, avo veitecha, eshtachave echa kodshecha, v'yiratecha. Ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, ma tovu. How beautiful are you, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Late yesterday, I chose to include this video instead of the video from Ma Tovu that we were going to show. And I did it because I remembered something that somebody taught me, and that is that you seldom remember what was said, you remember how it made you feel. And imagine when I didn't see the video for Edmon's thing, I wasn't feeling great. But my sense is nobody will remember what happened. They will remember how they feel. And it's important that we try to get here into this place. And this song could not be at a better point in our service. Right at the beginning, it says, while there's still time, and there is still time. This is a song that somebody sent me and said, you should include this in your video holiday compilation of 40 Holy Days by Hillary Robbins and Michelle Bruman.
A poet of sorrow wrote 3 simple lines, a plea that tomorrow may come to weigh heavy on all of our minds. A poet is no one, as most poets find, but sister and brother, take care with each other, for we should be kind while there is still time. There's rain and there's thunder before there is flood. The signs and the wonders that warn of the spilling of blood. And mountains will crumble, they're just rock and mud. So sister and brother, take care with each other, for we should be kind while there is still time. What can I do? You poets of sorrow, don't drown in your tears. The songs of tomorrow must rise from the ashes of fear. Will you stand and bear witness, reminding mankind that we're all connected, our lives intertwined, and we must awaken the willfully blind. Oh, sister and brother, take care with each other, for we should be kind while there is still time. While there is still time. While there is still time.
There is still time. I hope you're with us, calm right now. Rick, Addie, Jude, I'm going to call you to prayer so that you can call all of us into prayer. listening.
If God had a name, what would it be, and would you call it to his face? If you were faced with him in all his glory, what would you ask if you had just one question? And yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is good. Yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home. And yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is good. Yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home. Just trying to make his way home. Trying to make his way home.
Beautiful, Valerie. Thank you for sharing that song. Craig, did you breathe?
I am, yesterday when we talked about services and Addie said, well, it took me a while to get here. And she says, I'm here. And we should understand that everything that we did before the Baruch Hu, that's what the brilliant people who came up with the service realized, that you cannot pray until you're there, and you can't be there until you are ready. And they have all this, it's called Birchot HaShachar, and Psukei Zimra, things just to get you there so you're ready. So yes, thank you for asking, Stu. How are you?
I'm great. I'm looking at comments on YouTube, and a lot of people are with us. Some people noticed the video was absent. We're going to show that video right after we talk right now, but everyone's sending good wishes and blessings and happy, healthy New Year blessings, etc. I want to remind the viewers, if they have specific questions, they want to make specific comments, we're happy to interact because we want this Yom Kippur service to be a conversation. And breath, Craig, apparently is life. So when we forget to breathe, we actually are forgetting to participate in this life. So it's a good lesson for us, and it's a good lesson for all the folks at home. I also wanted to say to the folks at home that, as we said yesterday, you've got to think of your home now as your sanctuary. And you got to do whatever it takes to make that sanctuary a holy space. And part of what makes it a holy space is the people you're with. So even though you're watching on a screen, you still want to and need to have that shared experience with the people who are with you. If you are alone watching this service, we want to tell you, you're not alone. Look at all the people on this screen who are sharing this time with you and have put in a lot of time and effort in order to make sure that this experience is great for you. You are not alone. You are one of us, a part of our community. If God was one of us, would God be as flawed as we are? What do you think, Craig?
I buff and turf to, who can I buff and turf to? I'll tell you this. I think that God is one of us when we do godly things, when we are God-like. God is one of us when we do awful things. We are created in the image of God. And the most glorious thing about our tradition, I believe, is that we've been given a choice. It's not that you were created bad or you were created good. You were created good and bad. The choice we were given was to choose between good and bad. So if God was part of us, blame it on God, great. Many of us do. I don't blame it on God. If the video goes off, I'm not blaming it on God. I'm not even going to blame it on the technical people. I'm going to say we have a problem. What are we going to do about it? How are we going to fix it? I might get stressed, but blame game is a no-win game. So for me, God is one of us when we are one with God. Final answer.
Let's roll that video.
Okay.
Even during a pandemic, the high holidays mark a season of remembering, a time when we recall those lost to us. And in this season of Zachor, of remembering, in the midst of a whirlwind of angst that sometimes leaves us forgetting even what day it is, we need to also remember that we are not alone, that we share our hardships with the Jewish Angelenos who died over 100 years ago in the Spanish influenza pandemic. In 1918, when the Spanish flu struck, the city's population was booming, rising from 319,000 in 1910 to 576,000 in 1920. About that time, the Jewish population of LA was estimated to be around 20,000. During the high holidays of 1918, the Spanish flu was striking California in its second wave. People turned to all sorts of remedies for a relief or a cure. Unlike today, in that outbreak, healthy young adults were considered more vulnerable than the elderly. While walking among the graves at Mount Zion Cemetery, a small Jewish cemetery in East LA, I could see the evidence written in stone. I noticed a large number of headstones of young men and women dated 1918 and 1919. Through research, I found the vast majority of those interred in those years at Mount Zion were between the ages of 18 and 42 and had not died as a result of military service. As today, the city's health commissioner ordered that all schools, colleges, churches, theaters, motion picture houses, and all other places of amusement shall close and remain closed until further notice. Mayor Frederick T. Woodman, eerily presaging the unsupported optimism of a few of our current leaders, said, "I hope and believe that it will not be necessary to keep the order in effect very long." Also like today, people and religious institutions resisted the closures. Downtown shoppers refused to social distance and resisted the instructions to wear masks. Starting in January 1919, the disease returned for a third wave. The members of Congregation Sinai, whose former synagogue is now the home of the Pico Union Project, were struck hard by the pandemic. LA's Jewish paper of record, the B'nai B'rith Messenger, reported many of their deaths. In late November, Congregation Sinai's spiritual leader, Rabbi Isidore Myers, wrote a poem which appeared in the paper for Mr. and Mrs. Cohen, whose son Julian had tragically died from influenza. Jewish in sentiment, under grief's strain, let faith omnipotent in your souls reign, as it is heaven sent, not be the pain. Though the Great War ended on November 11, the war against the pandemic continued. The restrictions were finally lifted on December 3rd, the sixth night of Hanukkah. A message of increasing light was sent to the boys still over there. But it was too soon to let in the light. Though in the following weeks, the numbers of cases and deaths from the Spanish flu tapered off, it took months for synagogues to gradually return to their previous attendance. Today, in the midst of our own loss and the losses of our neighbors, Jewish Angelenos can find support in another stanza of Rabbi Meyer's poetry. Comfort knocks, pressing. Open your hearts. Heaven's kind blessing never departs.
We've been talking a lot about breath this morning, so I invite you to take a breath in as we prepare for Shema. And we'll sing Shema with our breath. Shema Yisrael
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot, osefele. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar Bakodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osefele, Shira Chadasha, Shipchu Geulim L'Shimcha, Yachad Kulam, Hodu V'Himlichu, Adonai Himloch Leolam Va'ed, Adonai Himloch Leolam Va'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele. Mi chamocha celebrates one of the most incredible miracles in nature, or perhaps a godlike miracle where the sea splits. And that's what we retell in that story, in that psalm. You are in a miraculous place right now, this person that we're going to bring in who will be our rabbi for the balance of the service, Rabbi Bill Kaplan, from the Shalom Institute in Malibu. And I know at the beginning of the service you said, I wish I was with you at the Pico Union. Bill, wish I was with you at the Shalom Institute. Welcome, come into our sanctuary.
Craig, thank you. Again, Rabbi Bill Kaplan here at Shalom Institute. I'm the executive director here and actually finishing my 30th year here, which is pretty amazing. As I mentioned at the beginning of the service, I'd love to have been Pico Union, but I'm just so happy to be out in nature because nature is my rabbinate, and that's how I teach Judaism and Jewish life and Jewish culture through nature. And here I am today, and I heard a lyric actually on one of the songs earlier, about 10 minutes ago in the service that says, "The ashes rising up." And that's what I want to teach today, a little bit how nature can teach us a lot about resiliency and regeneration. But first, let me share where I'm at. This is Shalom Institute. And 2 years ago, unfortunately, the Woolsey fire came through, a huge fireball, and destroyed pretty much everything except the building you're seeing behind me, which actually there is a crater there. It's a retreat center, and some of the rooms are no longer there. And when we were able to come after the fire, it took about 10 days for us to be able to, because the fire was still going on, to come back. The first thing that actually, one of the first things that I wanted to come see is right behind me. This is a very special tree. It's a coast live oak. It's a heritage tree. You could see the base, how big that is compared to many of the other beautiful trees around here. And I came to this tree, I was like hoping, please be here. And the tree was here. And then I looked around and I was actually in shock because I thought that this would be a wasteland and all the trees would be gone and they would just be destroyed. And this is the magical place of the 300 to 400 oaks and sycamores and other trees that we have here would just be completely destroyed. But I came and I saw this tree and I saw the other trees blacken. And I want to show you some of the ash you can see here on the base of the tree. And what was amazing to me is that when I learned that these trees, the oaks and the sycamores, are so resilient. They have withstood fires, they've withstood challenges, and they could survive this, and they did. And what's amazing to me is that they could actually, think about there was this blackness that was happening, the chard, that wouldn't actually come back. It not only has come back over the last 2 years, but it's come back so vibrant, so green. You could see some of the trees. And to me, that is the message of regeneration that really worried that the future of these trees would be that they're completely black. Yes, they're still here, but they're going to be blackened forever. But as you can see, the beauty, the greenness, it's never been so green, these oak leaves. And to me, that's the message, is that with the blackness, the contrast, it's all about the contrast. It's how the ashes have turned to blossoms, and not just blossoms, but more beautiful than ever before. And I know with the theme of Yom Kippur, and for us, everything going on in our world today, and everything that's going on within inside of us the last 6 months, I see that our ashes that will turn to blossoms, and that we have hope, and that when they do turn to blossoms, what's pretty amazing is that they become more vibrant and more vibrant and more vibrant. And we see that contrast. And we've seen over thousands of years the resiliency of the Jewish people, the resiliency of people in our community. And I know that I have hope. I'm the eternal optimist. For people that know me, I have hope because I really believe for all of us, the ashes can turn into blossoms, and we can blossom as we move on into this next year, 5781. Just want to wish everybody a Shana Tova and a Gamar Hatimat Tova. I'll be back a little bit later, and thank you for letting me share a little bit of Shalom Institute, Craig. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill. I'd like everybody to bring into our sanctuary here and your sanctuaries at home or outside, wherever you are, the people from the generations that were around when that tree was first planted. I believe 400 years ago you said that that's a 400-year-old tree, Bill?
It is at least 400 years, and
right.
I will like to acknowledge the Chumash, the indigenous people that lived here. We are continuing the stewardship for them.
Right.
But yes, about 400 years,
right.
probably.
Amazing, right? So bring into this room, but really make a conscious thought right now as we play this video, Lador Vador, a parent of yours, if you can. And then bring in a grandparent, if you can, the memory of a grandparent. And then if you can, bring in the story of a great-grandparent that you heard who came from Russia or Iran, South America, or was an indigenous American, whatever that is these days. Bring them into this room, into this sanctuary. Lador Vador. Together we sing your praise. This is our silent, private prayer.
We are gifts, and we are blessings. We are His story in song. We are hope, and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words, and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Lador Vador, Nagid Goleva. Lador Vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Lador Vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. Lador Vador, Nagid Godlecha. Lador Vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Lador Vador, these lips will praise your name.
Lador Vador, from generation to generation, we have read from this book. I welcome now our Torah reader, Quinn Lohmann, and our Torah reading rabbi and dear friend, former board member of the Pico Union Project, Scott Westle, as together we take out the Torah and parade through our sanctuary.
Have gathered to hear your word. Your spirit surrounds us. Let our voices be heard. There is none like you. No deed can compare. In every generation we have offered our prayer. We sing of your praises in heaven, on earth. We celebrate creation to the life that you gave birth. You are mighty as the river, so sweet is your love. You are strong as the tide, gentle as the dove. Ein kamocha ba'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kemasecha. Malchutecha, malchut kol amim, umemshaltecha, bechol dor vador.
Gemar Chatima Tova. May you be written and sealed in the book of life. On this Yom Kippur, for our Torah reading, on a day of our atonement, we begin with ritual. And it doesn't seem the place we might start. This might seem familiar if you paid attention on Rosh Hashanah to what I had to say as well. And there's a rabbinic tale of 4 rabbis discussing the most important verse in all of Torah. And one rabbi suggests, well, it's that we were made in the image of God. And another rabbi suggests it's Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Another says, Ve'ahavta re'echa kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. One of the guiding principles of the Pico Union Project, whether in person or virtually. And finally, Rabbi Ben Pazi comes up with the exact correct verse, according to our rabbis. Take 1 sheep in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. And what he's speaking about, of course, is the sacrificial ritual that became our basis of our worship services. Shacharit in the morning, Mincha in the afternoon, and Mariv in the evenings. The idea that the most important verse in Torah is the one about the most constant act of ritual says something, especially when compared to the other verses proffered in this parable. It's the act of ritual, the act of reading Torah, the act of engaging in tefillah, the looking inward, the act of going to someone that you've hurt and making tshuva, of making repentance. All of these become actualized in our ritual. All of these become who we are because we follow these dictums. And as being part of the Jewish community, when we engage ritual, when we use ritual to actualize our highest values, it allows us to transmit that to the next generation, as well as be a constant reminder of what we're actually meant to do. And I can do the ritual on my own, but there's something greater when I'm in a space filled with others doing the same ritual. When here at the Pico Union Project, we lift up our talit for others. So I don't just drape myself in the tzitzit like I'm commanded to do, but I literally cover others as well. And I think that's the guiding principle of what we're doing here. To preserve, to protect, to give shelter, to give refuge, to give care. And so on Yom Kippur, a day that we dress in white and celebrate ourselves, it's not a sad fast. It's a day we look back. Who am I? Who have I been? Who do I yet want to be? And Judaism has always provided blueprints and structure for us so that we can return and return again to ourselves, our community, and to God. Gemar Chatima Tova, Shana Tova. Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'nahatan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe, Aharei Mot, Shanee b'nei Aharon, B'karvatam lifnei Adonai, Vayalmutu. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, Daber el Aharon Ahiha, Ve'al Yavo V'chol Eit el HaKodesh, Mi Beit L'Paro Het, El Pnei HaKaporet, Asher al Ha'aron V'lo Yamud, Ki Ve'anan, Ira'eh el HaKaporet. B'zot Yavo Haron el HaKodesh, Befar Bein Bakar, Lehatat Ve'ayil Olah, Ketonet Bad Kodesh, Yilbash, Umichnesei Vad, Yihiu al Besaro, Uvavnet Bad Yachgor, Uvmitznefet Bad, Yitznov, Bigdei Kodesh Ham, Brahatzba Mahayim, Et Besaro Uvesham.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Stu, I'm holding the Torah here. I don't know if anybody can hear you because I can't hear you.
Yeah, I sometimes don't even want to hear myself, unfortunately. But I'm back. Thank you for holding the Torah, giving everyone a chance to connect with the Torah on this day. We brought the whole prayer team here. Last time we were all together, Shanee was a relatively newly married woman, and now look how the family has grown. Who is that sleeping baby, Shanee?
Her name is Joy.
Let's put Joy on the big screen.
Shana Tova.
And if we can do Shanee a blessing for her health and the health of her mother, Shanee and Papa Dotan. This is a Misha Berach for all those in need of healing, of body, of goof, of soul, of neshama.
Those of you on YouTube, if you want to type in the name of someone you'd like to have healing for, please do.
מי שב
Tova.
Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to introduce now our Musaf service with a video that was part of the 40 Holy Days video collection. And this amazing member of our community of Los Angeles and the comedic world, Alex Edelman, to explain exactly what Musaf and the core message is of our Musaf service. Alex, take it away, please.
Hi, my name's Alex Edelman, and I'm a comedian, and this won't be as funny as it should be, but my favorite part of the Jewish liturgy is in Sana Tokef, Unetana Tokef. It means a lot to me. It's that prayer, who will live and who will die, who of famine, who of thirst, who, who will die by the sword, who will die. It goes back and forth, and then it goes Rosh Hashanah Yikatei Yom. So like on Rosh Hashanah it is written, and on Yom Kippur it is inscribed. And the prayer is crazy. It's composed by a Jewish martyr named Rav Amnon of Mainz. He's dismembered by someone who's allegedly a buddy of his, the Bishop of Mainz, who asks him to convert, and he says no, and there's a kerfuffle, and then he's dismembered. His arms and legs are cut off, and he's asked to be brought before the Aron on Rosh Hashanah in Mainz, and he composes in Sana Tokef, and he dies. So, it really recalls Jewish history and Jewish martyrdom. And it describes this laundry list of, death sentences, who will die of stoning, who will die of strangling, who will rest and who will wander. And there's a line, by the way, that's, who will die of plague. And I remember when I was a kid, I was like, who's going to die in the modern world by plague? Well, 1 million people. And the last line of Insana Tokef is really gorgeous. Hashem blows a shofar, and the shofar sounds in a small, thin voice, and the liturgy says, and the angels tremble. And I love that line, because it's not this big rumbling, grand Sturmundrang that makes the angels tremble. It's a small, thin voice. And, there are people in the world who die by stoning, and who die of wild animal attacks, and who die by famine, and yes, who die of plague. And what I think the true genius and beauty of this tefillah is that when you speak, one voice, a small, thin voice, you invoke, invoke against that for people in this world who might be at risk of dying of famine, or who might be at risk in dying of plague. Your voice, your one voice, your small, thin voice, is enough to make the angels tremble. Have a Chag Sameach, and a truly contemplative Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and use your small, thin voice. It's enough.
B'Rosh Hashanah yichatevun U'b'yom Som Kippur yechatemun B'Rosh Hashanah yichatevun U'b'yom Som Kippur yechatemun. Bill, Al Chet Shechatanu, for the sins that we have sinned. Join us here in the city. Berosh Hashanah yichatevun Ubiyom Som Kippur yechatemun.
The Al Chet, which is our confessional. It's very appropriate that I'm here at a Camp JCA Shalom, which has archery because its origins are in archery. It's really not so much sins, but it's missing the mark. And I love that it's missing the mark. And I think as we say our Al Chets today, we're really looking at how can we strive to be better? How can we strive to be better? I've chosen a few today that I thought meant a lot to me, and I think they'll mean a lot to you, and I think they're very appropriate. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'ntiyat garon, for the sins we have committed against you through arrogance and selfishness. Ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chona'at re'ah, for the sins we have committed against you by defrauding others. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chachash u'chatzav, for the sins we have committed against you through denial and deceit. Ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'neshech u'mishteh, for the sins we have committed against you through greed and overindulgence.
Ve'yal kulam Eloha slichot slach lanu michal lanu kaper lanu. Bill?
Shechatanu lefanecha be'imutz halev, for the sins we have committed against you through hardening our hearts. Ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechanufa, for the sins we have committed against you through hypocrisy. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha batzarut ayin, for the sins we have committed against you by narrow-mindedness. Ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bevidui pei, for the sins we have committed against you through empty confession. For all these sins, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
Eloha slichot slach lanu michal lanu kaper lanu. If everyone would hold your hand out like this, the hand that you beat your chest with, but open it up high. Instead of beating yourself up, here's some goodness that you can put into this world, that you have put into world. Ahavnu, we have loved, barachnu, we have blessed, gadalnu, we have grown, dibarnu yofi, we've spoken beautifully. Yahatznu, we've given advice, kibadnu, we've honored.
Chamalnu, we've been empathetic. Ahavnu, we have loved. Ahavnu, we will love. Ahavnu, we are love. Ahavnu. Ya'aleh, may our prayers rise high, high, high. Ya'aleh.
יעלה תחנוננו מערב ויבוא שבתנו מבוקר ויראה רינוננו עד יעלה קולנו מערב ויבוא צדקתנו מבוקר ויראה פדיוננו עד ערב. ויבוא שמחתנו מבוקר וידהר נקתנו עד ערב. יעלה, 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 יעלה מנותנו מערב ויבוא למעננו מבוקר ויראה כיפורנו עד ערב ויראה כיפורנו עד
Wow, that was beautiful. You know, we're so blessed, Craig, Stuart, everybody on with me, to be able to do this virtually. I mean, you think about if we had been in this situation just a generation ago, how truly alone we might feel. So this is pretty amazing to be here together. That being said, it's really weird. And I have to say, I miss being in person with all of you. I miss being at the Pico Union. I miss seeing my friends and my Pico Union family. Can't wait to be together with all of you. But I have to just say one more really, really cool thing, which is I'm getting to spend the holidays in one way with people that I have never gotten to spend the holidays with. You know, I have dear friends in Philadelphia who are watching this with me, and I've never spent holidays with them, which is so cool. I have children who are both in Northern California, who are in Michigan, who are in DC, who are with me today, who wouldn't be with me. So, you know, it's a nice trade-off. But anyway, I know during these holidays, we've been talking a lot about putting words to action. Sometimes we think actions don't matter, but I disagree. Many of you know this poem. It's attributed to Mother Teresa, and it's extremely apropos of today, of Yom Kippur, and especially of this year. People are often unreasonable and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you're kind, people may accuse you of ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you find happiness, people may be jealous. Be happy anyway. I need to introduce myself. My name is Vicki Nussbaum. I have been involved at the Pico Union Project for about 5 years now. At first, I came for the high holidays and an occasional Shabbat table. I really came for words. Well, I came for music, let's be honest, but I came for words. And then I acted. I started volunteering at Vita Sana, distributing food. Now I'm suddenly the board chair of the Pico Union Project. I have no doubt that my time and my efforts have helped to grow this community. But what I never realized was how much I would grow from this experience, from this action. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may not be enough. Give your best anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God. It was never between you and them anyway. Who you are today is not who you will be tomorrow. That is the gift. We are the blessing. Shana Tova to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vicki, for all of you and all you do. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me.
They are kulam Eloah Slichot Slach lanu Michalanu Kaper lanu. This is Yizkor. This is a service that when I was growing up, all of the kids were ushered out. You shouldn't see this. It's about, well, we're not even going to tell you it's about. You shouldn't see it. You shouldn't participate in it. Yizkor, however, is about, I think, the most powerful part of life, and that is death. It informs how we live, and how we live informs how we will die. Memory is a powerful, powerful thing. Yizkor means memory. Memory is mysterious, it's intense, it's selective, and sometimes it can be fabricated. Memory is a huge, huge part of the Jewish people. We remember when we light the candles, Shamor v'Zachor. One of the candles is actually called Zachor, remember, Yizkor, remember. When we drink wine, we remember Yetziat Mitzrayim, leaving Egypt. Memory is huge. And today we're going to bring into our room the memory of our family, our people and our peoples. Stuart K. Robinson, Yizkor. We did a collection this year of memories for jewels, memories on hope and healing. I asked you if you would choose your favorite. Can you choose your favorite?
There are so many great ones. Each one kind of speaks to a different part of this process. And I appreciate this because I think death is the one thing that our schools and our families don't prepare us for. We all know it's inevitable, and yet we're always so blindsided and shocked when it happens. So I chose this piece by Louise Erdrich. It says, "Life will break you. Nobody can protect you from that. And living alone won't either. For solitude will also break you with its yearning. You have to love. You have to feel. It is the reason you are here on earth. You are here to risk your heart. You are here to be swallowed up. And when it happens that you are broken or betrayed or left or hurt, or death rushes near, let yourself sit by an apple tree and listen to the apples falling all around you in heaps, wasting their sweetness. Tell yourself you tasted as many as you could.
Beautiful. Amy Bickel recorded her jewel that we're going to play for you right now. I met Amy, I think 7 years ago, when she married my and the Pico Union's dear friend, Theo Bickel, who passed away 5 years ago. So this is Amy Bickel's jewel that she wrote.
Let your grief course through you like a great, grand river. Its journey to the sea is long and winding. Sometimes the rapids, you are quite sure you will get lost, drowned. Sometimes the water flows so slowly, you fear you will be moored forever. Carving caverns and the cracks in the sandstone, it will change you. It will shape you. Oh, beautiful, brave soul. Do not build a dam. Build a raft. Allow. Hold on. For this is your sacred journey home, a holy gift for the patient, open-hearted.
Today we remember all our loved ones, all the people that we stood on shoulders. If you are in mourning or you're remembering somebody, or if it is your custom, I ask you to please rise for our mourners Kaddish as we remember and honor the memory of all of our loved ones. Today I remember my father, Gerald Kaplan, who passed away just a couple years ago. And I know so many of us have lost parents, and think about them right now. Yikadal ve'yikadash shmei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malhutei, v'chayechom be'v'yomechon uvachaye b'tekol bet Yisrael, va'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam umei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudishah v'richu. Le'ela ul'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiram be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shamaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mrumav ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens cause peace to reign among us, all Israel and all the world, and let us say amen.
Amen, amen, amen. We sometimes approach death, sometimes with a laugh or a giggle, sometimes with deep tears and cathartic, emotional outbursts that are hard to control. Rick Lupert wrote a jewel, and this was his approach to memory and how he would like to be remembered, sort of.
Sort of, indeed. It's sometimes we think that the job of the poet, in particular for people who aren't that familiar with poetry, is to remind everyone that they're going to die someday. So this is my take on that. This poem is called On My Eventual Death. 1. Scientists say our sun will burn out in 3 billion years. all life on earth that ever was gone. With this in mind, it is my policy to not make long-term plans, worry too much about my legacy. 2, I read about a couple that had their beloved dog cloned. Addie asks if I want to clone my beloved Tigger. I tell her yes, because she would love him as a kitten, and so he could be with us forever. I tell her it costs $180,000, and she screams, doesn't listen to another word I say. I tell her I hear the price is going down, but she doesn't hear me, is still screaming. 3, knowing my family's history of heart failure, I ask Addie, if I die young and you remarry, which I would totally understand, would you at least agree to be buried next to me? I hope you have a happy life with the new guy, but I couldn't imagine spending eternity under the ground without you. Addie is, of course, horrified, but she agrees, which comforts me. 4, Jude, my son, holds his fist in the air like fight the power as the milk goes into his mouth. Ah, Jude, my son, my little Black Panther, you will outlive us all.
Yizkor, we remember. This is a song that I wrote with Gabriel Mann, and it includes the names of many of your families that you sent in, people and loved ones who are no longer with us. We remember. Yizkor.
My father, my teacher, may your soul be remembered. You have left this world, but you are not gone. I will give in your name that your soul be remembered by the deed of my hands in turn. You will be wrapped in the bond of life with Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebecca, Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. You will be there in the Garden of Eden with all that is righteous and good. And on my heart, Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. You will be there in the Garden of Eden with all that is righteous and good. But no man. Amen. Amen.
Is there really anything more that we hope for than to be remembered? Who have made, have impacted our lives well. I introduced yesterday a new word called mondegreen. When you understand something incorrectly because you heard it wrong.
Stuart, I've already used it 4 times since yesterday.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
It's a good one. Someday I'll tell you the background on it. But I want to make sure that another part of the thing we said is not a mondegreen for you. When we announced these services, we said, give what you can, because we wanted everyone, regardless of your financial status, your location, your faith, etc., to be welcome and to be part of this family. You'll notice, though, we did not say free. We said, give what you can, because free is far too precious a word to attach to tickets to an event. Free is what so many humans fought for, bled for, even died for. Free is the open window through which pours the sunlight of the human spirit. But we purposely didn't say free. We said, give what you can. In these services, we've cried out, cleanse me, inscribe me favorably. We pray to be free from blame and from guilt. And in return, we only have the responsibility to do better. How do we do better? We give what we can. Now, certainly financially, you should give what you can. Give what you can, not what's comfortable, not what's easy. It always amazes me when I go out to dinner with friends and it's a wonderful restaurant, a beautiful meal, and the service is incredible. And then they take out their calculators to figure out what 14.5% is. That's giving what's expected. That's not giving what you can. For a lot of us, there will never be enough wealth, and we feel we need to hold on to it as tightly as we can. And for others, we barely know whether our next rent can be paid. And yet others still wonder where the next meal will be found. They are not free. And this is not free, but it goes beyond money. If you have no money, but you have resources, give what you can. If you have comfort to give, then comfort people with us as a part of our team. If you're a great listener, give your listening. If you have time to volunteer, to help others, give that time. If you have empathy, give that. But if you have a little extra funds, help community, help others, this year we could really use it because we're committed to giving something that money can't buy. Knowledge, guidance, encouragement, belief. If you have any of those things, and I believe most of us do, it's time to give. Give what you can.
Stuart, I can give more right now. But you nailed it. I have nothing left to say. Why don't we show the video, please? Because you're brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Let's show this.
My earliest influences were my elementary school teachers, kindergarten through 5th grade, who unfortunately told me that The world wasn't really ready for someone like me to have opinions and have dreams and hopes of being someone important.
All around you, dreams are living on and on.
In order for a young adult to succeed, they need one person to believe in them.
I don't think I would have ever made this far if it did not have been for my mentors encouraging and helping me both academically and in my personal life.
It's going to be our first ever mentoring program. We're going to go out in the community and find kids and young adults that need help in financial literacy, interviewing skills, everything that, all the advantages and great things that we had.
Most of us don't have that kind of support at home, and some of us don't know how to speak or ask for that help.
To mentor them so they have tools to succeed.
I met my 6th grade teacher who told me that I was magical and that I could accomplish anything I set my mind to.
So please join. We need your help.
A new day's begun.
That 6th grade mentor changed my life. That's the importance of a mentor.
So Stewie, this is it. This is it, right? For 6 years since we started our place, we have the Pico Union Project. We have done Vida Sana, and every 2 weeks we would distribute food to 250 families. For 5 years, we had collection drives here for the high holidays where we would collect. Last year, kind of like prophetically, we collected emergency kits that had N95 masks. Each one had 10 masks in it. Little did we know that we would need to use them 6 months later. And all of our community was prepared. So prepared that I actually took some masks from one of the kits that we had here and I brought them home. We collected books for children. We collected school supplies. We collected 1 year hundreds and hundreds of items that were distributed to hundreds of families for kitchen supplies. In a month, we're going to have Thanksgiving. Last year, we distributed close to 750 turkeys. But Desmond Tutu says, there comes a point where we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. The people in our community are falling in because they need mentors. We have started something called Pico Union Partners. We have people who have already stepped up and started to contribute money. We need about $30,000 to make it happen. We need the money because we can only mentor right now online. In our community, most of them don't have laptops. So we're gonna purchase laptops. They're about $400 that we will loan to our community members so that they can go online and be mentored virtually. But there's a problem. Only 30% of the families in our community have hotspots or internet. So we're gonna make sure to purchase enough internet access for those families. We need you to step up. Go to picounionproject.org/pup partners. Become a member. Give what you can, whether it's your time, whether it's a laptop, whether it's money. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it, and starting in 1 month. Richard Foos is behind us. He's our board chair that was on there. He was so animated and excited, I barely recognized him. Dan Wolf is with us. Marty Janal stepped up and gave money. We need minimum 20 mentors who are willing to give 4 hours. 4 hours of invaluable time, an investment that will have invaluable impact on children and youth in our communities. We can do it. We must do it. And I thank all of you for recognizing that we cannot do it without you. Stu, is there anything you'd like to add in conclusion? You have 25 minutes.
I thought you meant 2 hours and 50 minutes. I'm sorry. I got to return to the Mondegreen once more because.
Are you saying one second, are you saying Mondegreen or Mondelbread? Because now I'm really.
Mondegreen.
Oh, I was saying Mondelbread the whole time. It's like I thought it was a cookie.
That's the whole purpose of the word.
Okay.
You hear it wrong and you misunderstand it. Please don't misunderstand us. We need you. We've done a great job giving fish to the people of the community. Now we need to teach people to fish. We need knowledge. We need sleeves rolled up. We need relationships built. Excuse me. And we need you to roll up your sleeves and help people build a future. I want to end with this. We're all scrambling for power. We want power. But what is power? A poet once said, power is the ability, the freedom to close your eyes and imagine a world better than this one. And then the ability to open your eyes and be able to bring that world into existence. This is our prayer team. We have the power. You have the power. We can talk about tzedakah and tshuva all we want. Those are very good words. But it's time to turn words to action. Yes, we need money for this program, and we need equipment. But we need knowledge, and we need heart. So please give what you can. Make the commitment now.
I'm not even going to sing. You said it. Why do I need to sing it? You said it. Let's hear the Torah, and then let's go out with a little Benny Ferdman doing his action. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Rabbi Bill, Benny Ferdman, Sherry Davis, Rick Lupert, all of the team outside, Shanee, Zamir, Addie Lupert, Jude Lupert, beautiful Valerie and beautiful Caroline. Thank you for joining us. Let us hear that loud shofar, but let it make us still so that we can hear the voice inside of us to turn our words into action. Please stand if you can. And
while you're standing, I want to remind you, you can stay tuned on the Pico Union website to see our Unspoken Truths events that are airing today. Craig is hosting my song, The Art of the Art, with Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul and Mary, and Dave Kaz, the saxophonist. And I'm doing a piece where we review with Fernando Guerra and Jessica Levinson all of the propositions that are coming up on the ballot. What they mean, what's good about them, why they're there, etc. So stay with us and continue to celebrate this day.
Shana Tova, everybody stand. Look at Benny's thing.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vechanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed Ve'emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Nosei Avon ופשע וחטא ונקה. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha V'Chata V'Nakeh.
Even during a pandemic, the high holidays mark a season of remembering, a time when we recall those lost to us. And in this season of Zachor, of remembering, in the midst of a whirlwind of angst that sometimes leaves us forgetting even what day it is, we need to also remember that we are not alone, that we share our hardships with the Jewish Angelenos who died over 100 years ago in the Spanish influenza pandemic. In 1918, when the Spanish flu struck, the city's population was booming, rising from 319,000 in 1910 to 576,000 in 1920. About that time, the Jewish population of LA was estimated to be around 20,000. During the high holidays of 1918, the Spanish flu was striking California in its second wave. People turned to all sorts of remedies for a relief or a cure. Unlike today, in that outbreak, healthy young adults were considered more vulnerable than the elderly. While walking among the graves at Mount Zion Cemetery, a small Jewish cemetery in East LA, I could see the evidence written in stone. I noticed a large number of headstones of young men and women dated 1918 and 1919. Through research, I found the vast majority of those interred in those years at Mount Zion were between the ages of 18 and 42 and had not died as a result of military service. As today, the city's health commissioner ordered that all schools, colleges, churches, theaters, motion picture houses, and all other places of amusement shall close and remain closed until further notice. Mayor Frederick T. Woodman, eerily presaging the unsupported optimism of a few of our current leaders, said, "I hope and believe that it will not be necessary to keep the order in effect very long." Also like today, people and religious institutions resisted the closures. Downtown shoppers refused to social distance and resisted the instructions to wear masks. Starting in January 1919, the disease returned for a third wave. The members of Congregation Sinai, whose former synagogue is now the home of the Pico Union Project, were struck hard by the pandemic. LA's Jewish paper of record, the B'nai B'rith Messenger, reported many of their deaths. In late November, Congregation Sinai's spiritual leader, Rabbi Isidore Myers, wrote a poem which appeared in the paper for Mr. and Mrs. Cohen, whose son Julian had tragically died from influenza. Jewish in sentiment, under grief's strain, let faith omnipotent in your souls reign, as it is heaven sent, not be the pain. Though the Great War ended on November 11, the war against the pandemic continued. The restrictions were finally lifted on December 3rd, the sixth night of Hanukkah. A message of increasing light was sent to the boys still over there. But it was too soon to let in the light. Though in the following weeks, the numbers of cases and deaths from the Spanish flu tapered off, it took months for synagogues to gradually return to their previous attendance. Today, in the midst of our own loss and the losses of our neighbors, Jewish Angelenos can find support in another stanza of Rabbi Meyer's poetry. Comfort knocks, pressing. Open your hearts. Heaven's kind blessing never departs.